Shall I start?
Here we go.
Okay, hello and welcome to yet another episode of What the Fluff! If this is your first time joining us, I am Fluffy your Panda.
And I am Tam.
Really?
Yes.
Just Tam today?
What was I last time?
Do you like
I was like Ninja Space.
Ninja
something
Dragon
or other.
5000, if I recall correctly.
The third.
Actually, just to tell you a really cute story, which is not a What the Fluff story at all, but, you know, background, woo! We went on a weekend away,
Yeah.
and I made friends with this little bird, because I'm secretly a Disney princess, and we called him Wilhelm, the Prince of Belgium the Third, because, you know...
Is this the one with the braid?
Yes.
I remember that story. It was very heartwarming. It should be a film on its own. Ooh, ideas.
Ooh. Ding!
Ideas.
But talking about stories that make you go, what the fuck? And then in this camera, what the fuck? We here on the What the Fluff story try and find the most What the Fluff stories and then share them with you, our beautiful listeners, fairly regularly. While doing everything else that we do here on internet land, but we'll get to all of that, likeables and shareables and clickables
In a moment.
later. So Tam,
Yes.
how has your week been?
My week, it's been hot.
We do live in Africa,
Like
so
uncomfortably hot.
uncomfortably so.
So yeah, I've just been avoiding daylight, but that's not really new for me,
No.
as you can probably tell.
Just a little.
So,
Can I tell you a What the Fluff story from my week?
yes.
Right. This is story time, children.
Oh, I do have a What the Fluff story from the week, though.
Mm.
You do know about it. But this weekend, we were at the CTIAF, which is the Cape Town International Animation Film Festival.
Hashtag.
Because that is what I studied last year and hope to be one day.
And it's what I admire from afar.
So what happened is they're trying to bring stop motion more to the forefront of the animation industry in
Yes.
South Africa, because
Yes.
people think it's dead.
I don't know why I
Surprise,
got that idea
it's not.
from. Go in the 2 strings, 3 strings, 2 strings.
2 strings.
What
Wallace
else?
and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep,
Coraline.
freaking Tim Burton will always be a
And
classic.
there are a bunch of other artists sort of in Europe, particularly in the Eastern Bloc, where stop motion is alive and kicking. But anyway, there was a workshop there to sort of introduce kids to stop motion so
Little
that the
whippersnappers.
seed is planted when they're young. And I finished off my final film last year, and I made my own puppets and I made my own film and everything like that. And I was asked to help out with the workshop and bring my puppets with as part of a display.
Yes.
Because the woman who was organizing it, her father, Rod Campbell, he is one of the first, if not the only one in South Africa who does stop motion. So he
Really?
did like Liewe Hexie and Benny Bookbadam
Yeah, I'm
and
still very Afrikaans.
all that stuff. But he was like the first. They've recently taken those puppets and they've refurbished them to like display them and everything.
I suppose it would be Afrikaans considering our history and how controlled the SABC was
Yes.
by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
So,
So that's why it's those kinds of characters, because there are no other characters from that time that sort of existed on public TV because it was so heavily censored
yeah.
back then. But anyway, he
Sorry.
brought some of his puppets from his films that he'd done the old school way
Yeah.
of having an actual film camera, and then they had to film it and stop and move the puppet, film and stop, move. And then to find out if it had actually worked, they had to send it away, develop the film, and then if the timing was off, they had to start all over again. Whereas like now, I have a program called Dragon Frame, which is really good because you can see real time what you're doing and you can backtrack. But anyway, I lose track. So our puppets were there for display. And there was a room
really
full of
cute.
kids. And on my best day, I don't do well with children. Not in the fact that I hate them. I just
No.
find them very exhausting.
Mm.
So our puppets are on the table, and then I turn around, and my cat is gone. One of my main characters, the antagonist in my film, was a cat. So we made this big, my mom and I, we made this big cat puppet, and I turn around, and this thing is missing. Now these things are my children. They're gone.
You literally spend months making them, you know, and working with them. They are your
Exactly.
children. They just don't talk back.
And
See?
Yes.
Mm.
and we're doing that mirroring thing again.
Oh, right.
Sorry, Chris. So then I turn around and my cat's gone. It's finished. This is my child. She's also broken. Her one arm's not doing so well.
Leg, but
So I
yes.
turn around and my cat's gone. And I'm frantically looking for my cat. And one of the kids has gone and taken my cat
Kidnapped.
off the
Catnapped.
table
It was catnapped.
to use it in their little film. Now, my puppet is broken. They are very delicate puppets. And I was like, why do you have my cat? She was like, well, we're going to film with it. I'm like, no.
No.
The cat is for display only.
Display purposes only.
So I took it from
please.
her and I put it back on the table and I reassured it and myself that everything was okay. And I went about the workshop.
Oh, you literally make me think of those toddlers and tiaras moms, where this kid is like oblivious to the chaos, and the mom is more reassuring herself while reassuring her daughter, who's got the biggest hair in the
Probably-
world.
Exactly. If this cat had a tiara, that's what it would be.
Oh, kitties.
So
and
then I'm going about
tiaras.
my day, and then not even 5 minutes later, the same girl runs up to the table and snatches my cat off the table. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Smack a bitch. That's it.
And then she turns around to me and says, one of the other volunteers, one of the students from one of the colleges in the area was like, oh, she told me I could use it. And I was like, in the moment, I was about to, this kid, and I'm like, who is she? So,
And that's when you should have gone, and I said this before, who's she? The cat's mother? No, because I am. It was right there, Tam. It was right
Opportunity
there,
missed.
and you just waved it by. You could have grabbed it. It would have been golden. You should just include that in the story from now on.
in the words of Jack Sparrow, I love those sort of opportunities. I like to wave at them as they pass by. So that was sort of my what the fluff story for the week, that I
Yeah.
couldn't believe this
Yeah.
child was trying
The
to
audacity,
take
though.
my children. I already told her you cannot use this puppet, and she went and took it again. And I was just like,
Girl, that's not how we do things.
so
But also the audacity that she thought that she could just circumvent, like, your authority and go ask someone else. Like, that would then make it okay.
yeah,
Like,
because I mean
I
there
don't know
were
if you
other
were-
puppets on the table that
Yeah.
were obviously clearly more professional and more delicate. And
I
stuff.
mean, they looked as old as time.
There
so-
were other puppets on the table. So it's like, those puppets are not for you to touch. Therefore, these puppets are not there for you to touch. And I was just like, Oprah, give me strength. She's just a child.
Medea, guide me. Queen Latifah, give me strength.
So, yes. Anyway,
Yes.
your week.
Oh. So, my dad's car the radio doesn't want to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of the few people that I know in my age group who still listens to the radio for things like the news and traffic reports and, you know, all that old school stuff. And because his radio wasn't working, I didn't know that they were doing roadworks, which ended in stopped traffic on the M3.
Ooh, lovely.
Fun! So I'm already quite an aggressive driver. I don't know if you can tell.
I think everybody becomes an aggressive driver, because like, I know someone who's sweet as pie when you meet her,
Sweet
and
as
then when
apple
she's
pie.
in the car, it's like
Yeah.
you just want to like hide yourself in the glove box.
So I already drive this tiny car. Well, my parents have these tiny cars, and they're silver, which means that people just don't see you. It's a science thing, apparently. So people are constantly, like, doing their own thing, and it just makes me so mad, because I'm like, I know this toy car has 6 airbags, but please, can we not put these to the test? Please.
Do not feel like testing it out today.
The slipway, none of the cars in the 3 lanes are moving. This old white man gets out of his sports car, exactly, and starts yelling at the 2 cars in front of him, who's trying to move into traffic but cannot because none of the traffic is moving. And he starts yelling. So another white man leans out of his car and goes, "Get the fuck back in your car, you're not doing anything." So then this bro gets back in his car and then tries to overtake the 2 cars in front of him on the slipway to now get into the traffic that is not moving. There is no radio in my car, so I'm literally talking to myself, being like, what the fuck is this bro doing? What is he doing now? What the fuck, bro? Where the fuck did you get your license? Like, literally just repeating, what the fuck, the entire... Are we allowed? Have we decided if we can swear?
I don't know if we decided, but I think we just did now.
Sorry. Explicit video. We can beep it out. Yeah, just little crack noises. And then, so traffic finally starts moving. I think there was a hold up further up because basically all the cars go into bottleneck to then move into 1 lane.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's a very short distance, and then the freeway just carries on. Super cash, super chilled. I'm like, whatever, I'm stuck in this. You know, I'm very much, if I'm in a line, I might as well just wait until I'm done. So, this other old white man next to me.
Is this the third old
white man.
Third old
white man that I had to deal with on a Monday morning. Mm-hmm. Yes. And he's reading the newspaper. Mm-hmm. Straight up. Is slowly cruising at about less than 20. You know when you're driving so slow that the speedometer doesn't actually move?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're still moving forward.
Doesn't actually register.
So he's slowly cruising like this and has the paper over the steering wheel and is reading the paper. And I'm just like, Queen Latifah, give me strength. Oprah, guide me in this time because I'm about to lose it completely. Like, who reads a paper while you're sitting in traffic? Like, I'm pretty sure in your fancy smancy black Land Rover, you could turn on the radio. Like, and then, while still reading the paper, decides to move across into my lane. Doesn't indicate. And if I had not been watching this man, this man, I would not have known that he was just moving into my lane. Just midsummer.
He would have driven straight into you.
Yep, while reading the paper, and continued to read the paper until we went through the little bits of road work. So that is my what the fluff story. Ooh. If we had started doing this while I was still taking the bus, I would have been like, do you have half an hour? Because it's just going to be me.
Ooh, unwanted body contact. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, the armpit smells that I've smelt in my time.
No. Anyway, let's get on to some stories, shall we?
Yes. What do you have in store for us?
So, sort of on a local note, something that made me go, what the fluff, this week was, again, at the festival this weekend. I was sitting around guarding my puppet table.
I was there too.
From tiny humans. And I overheard conversation between 2 parents.
And those are always fun.
The mother was saying, they were obviously talking about their kids, talking about school and everything. And she just seemed to mention that some of the parents at her kids' school basically still give her attitude for being a single mother. I didn't know that was still a thing. I was literally like, what?
What?
What do you mean that they're basically being rude to her and basically they have prejudice against her because she's a single mother?
Hold up. Does she know 100%? Not that you could have interviewed her afterwards. I get that. But just from her demeanor and her vibe, was she getting prejudiced against for being a single mother, or was she just a horrible person? Because sometimes
she could have been a horrible
it's not
person.
Actually about your situation, but you just kind of make it so when you're telling other people just so that they'll feel sorry for you, but you're actually just a bitch.
It could be that. But it seemed that it was sort of something that people would slip into conversation. So it's something that they would keep bringing up about her. And I, in my naivete, obviously not being a parent, not having to deal with other parents in the school system, I wasn't actually aware.
Don't you take your puppets on little puppet play dates?
Absolutely. But no one gives me shit about being a single parent because none of them can talk. Huh. Who wins? No one, because I'm alone in a room full of puppets.
That sounds like a win to me.
Right?
But hey, we're the weird ones.
I suppose I'm just being really naive, but I
that makes me go, like,
that being a single parent was still an issue. Since
how is that?
People would be aware nowadays that, families have different situations. You're not always going to have a mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be like that. So I was just kind of like, what?
What?
Still a thing?
I didn't know it was a thing. But I suppose the fact that you still have TV shows that are trying to promote how great and wonderful single moms are. Not that they aren't, but the fact that there's still a need for the media to kind of be like,
bring this to light, that this is sort of
that this is the situation, that this is normal, that this is
it's a controversial storyline to have, that it's a single parent.
What was the last one that I watched? Well, she was a single parent in the sense that she was trying to get divorced from her husband who was serving in Iraq.
Yes.
So it was already, the dad is in Iraq, she's a veteran, so there's already all of that whole storyline.
But I think the fact that it's still used as sort of a kind of hot topic storyline still kind of shows the need that it maybe is still an issue for a lot of people, and for some reason people still get judged for being a single parent, which I was blown away by. I honestly didn't think it was still an issue for people. I thought people had more of an understanding that people come from different situations.
Netflix, and now they have to sponsor us. Oh, wouldn't that be the dream? Looking at you, Nettie. Yeah. Hey, Nettie. Yeah. They have a show called One Day at a Time. And the mom is a nurse, 2 kids, one of them is a teenager. And they deal with some very real issues. But the prevalent storyline is the fact that even though she's a single mom, it's still a family. Because even if there is no man around.
Yeah.
Which, at the time when I was watching it, I was paying more attention to all the other storylines. But then, now that you've mentioned this, it's 2017. This should not be a thing.
It shouldn't be an issue because, I think it's become pretty prevalent now that sort of cookie-cutter nuclear family, it's not really real.
That's becoming abnormal.
It's not. I don't ever think it was normal. I think it's just sort of this idea
us who come from families with a mom and a dad, 2.5 kids.
But I think in a time where it was more taboo to be divorced, if the taboo over divorce didn't exist maybe 40 years ago, you would still have single parents and things like that, where you're
Catholic though,
people,
right?
Where you have people who stayed together that maybe necessarily shouldn't have stayed together because the taboo of divorce was so intense back then.
If you look at the real O'Neills, the reason why their parents got married, the initial reason was the fact that the mom was pregnant.
Yeah, because
they're an Irish Catholic family.
I was half raised Catholic, so that's the thing, is both my parents are not staunch Catholics.
No, but the reason why I was asking about the Catholic thing is because in the real O'Neills,
the
family is Irish Catholic. So
that is still a big thing.
So the very first episode was them getting separated or divorced. Was
that is still a very big thing within the faith. It's still a huge
within
thing.
The faith over there, just
getting divorced is still a thing. But I was it's so common nowadays. In your group of friends, I'm pretty sure at least one person's comes from a family where the parents are divorced.
Not even in our group of friends now, people are getting divorced.
Yeah, exactly. I keep forgetting. We're at the age where people have started to make families and stuff like that. and actually are getting divorced themselves, which is pretty insane. So,
but speaking of
that just made me take a step back.
Making families and the South African context and things.
Yeah.
The other day, Tab and I, we went on this amazing crumbs and cream adventure. We vlogged the whole thing, so check out that video.
So yummy.
It was such an experience. It was delicious. That's all I have to say. Like 5 stars, delicious.
You had blue ice cream that
Yeah.
didn't taste like bubble gum, but we will go over that in the vlog numerous times.
Yeah.
So,
not to give any spoilers away. So, Tam and I were talking, and another YouTuber who I'm not going to mention because why, and Tam said that she mentioned that a South African Christmas tradition is something about a Christmas mouse.
I have heard that, as I said to you when I told you that. I have heard this thing of the Christmas mouse. I don't know if any of you have heard of that. I've always heard of it as referred to as Father Christmas.
Yes, I've never heard of the Christmas mouse. And as someone who is so deeply invested in children's literature, and Christmas is my second favorite day after my birthday.
And then Halloween.
Yeah, it goes Fluff Day, Christmas Day, Halloween, Valentine's Day. No, St. Paddy's Day, Valentine's Day. Yes.
It's because they put little 4-leaf clovers on the green robots.
Yes.
Or traffic lights.
Traffic lights.
For everybody else.
So I tried Googling Christmas mouse. And I put in Christmas mouse South African traditions, South African Christmas traditions. I tried in all the various search words. And no.
Did you get nothing?
What I got was Christmas stories called The Christmas Mouse.
Aww.
And I'll give you a little bit of a something from this.
Story time.
So fun and laughter disappeared when the family sold this big house. It just it breaks your heart. So Walter Whiskers was a sad little mouse. This big house was his home. In fact, he had lived in a mouse hole in this very same house since he was a tiny mousekin himself.
A mousekin?
His little mouse hole had always been warm, cozy place, and there was always plenty to eat. At least up until a few months ago. Bum, bum, bum. Then the family that lived there moved out. Oh. Now there were no children in the house, no music or parties or fun anymore, and there was no good things to eat. Don't you just hate that when you come home and you keep opening the fridge?
I had that this evening.
Just expecting there to be something, and then, yeah.
I feel you, Walter. Feel you.
So Walter sighed, thinking how much he missed it all. Walter lived in the house with his wife, Wanda Whiskers. Hey, Wanda.
Hey, Wanda. Hey, girl.
And their 4 mousekin children,
4.
Willie, Warner, Wilma, and little Winifred.
Oh.
So that is the only Christmas mouse I could find. But what I also found was there is a website called whychristmas.com.
Why Christmas? Why?
Why?
Why? Why?
We're doing that repeating thing
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
Chris.
so ingrained. And basically, this Why Christmas tells you all the Christmas traditions of every country in the world.
Okay.
I'm not... Like, literally, we could do this every week where we talk about the Christmas traditions and we could just go alphabetically.
Can we do that during December, though?
Yeah, sure.
That would be awesome. What does it say for South Africa?
So for South Africa, there were just some things that I thought were a little odd. You know, the usual Christmas stuff was right. You know, going caroling on Christmas Eve and carols by candlelight and, you know, very popular here. But the thing that I was a little bit... about was when they're talking about the Christmas meal.
Okay.
So
what is it?
it's either turkey or duck. Have you ever had turkey at Christmas? Last year was the first time I ever saw a frozen turkey. And that's just because it was right next to the vegetables. And I was like, what the fuck?
We normally have roast chicken.
Roast beef, mince pies, or suckling pig with yellow rice and raisins and vegetables. Followed by Christmas pudding, or a traditional South African dessert called malva pudding, sometimes also called lekker pudding.
That's right. That's right, though.
Lekker pudding, really?
I don't know if I've never heard it called lekker pudding.
I've never heard of it called lekker pudding. That's why I was like, what?
Hold of it. Heard of it as malva. That's it. And then you eat it with custard.
Malva pudding.
I don't know where they got turkey and suckling pig from. I don't know what kind of money you have on Christmas to afford that.
And then, of
we
course,
have roast chicken and gammon.
Well, when my grandmother was still with us, we followed the German tradition of doing Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And we had every meat. We had the 4 basic food groups of your chicken, lamb, pork, and beef.
Beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard.
So, yeah. And then, you know, because it's Christmas, you don't have to have vegetables. But being the only somewhat vegetarian in my family, that's all I would have.
We have to. We get veggies whether we want to or not.
No, in this household, you have no thank you helping of veggies. And then my dad's like, tomatoes are a vegetable. And then puts tomato sauce. Why do I keep doing this motion on camera? So, see this right here is the what the fluff. Why fluff?
And
Why?
it's stuck in the bottle.
It's stuck and you just can't get it out. Yeah. Sorry, but
Mature
so yeah.
adults. Yeah.
So that was my South African family. That's how I'm shortening what the fluff to. Just what.
I think that's kind of the beauty of South Africa is, I don't know, I suppose maybe in some places, if you say, as an example, in Germany, you would have a German Christmas. These are the certain things that you do. But from one end of this country to the other, you have so many different traditions. So you could try
from each family. Just what Tam does for Christmas and what I do for Christmas are 2 completely different things. Hey. So it's always really interesting when you have people who start dating and now the holidays are coming up and now you literally have to juggle family, which I'm sure is what you had to do.
Yeah, no, because we're always sort of like around all over the place, and then in the afternoon is this person, and then in the evening is this person, and then it's like, you know. But when they start pouring you brandy and coke, then it's all good.
All good. See, now that is a Christmas tradition.
You know, brandewijn and coke.
Oh, yes.
Met ijs.
It's
It's always really funny for me when you try and sort of get a sort of standardized explanation as to what is South African, because 9 times out of 10 you're always like, what?
What?
No, it isn't.
No.
But it always depends on
the thing is that
the person.
that literally applies everywhere. Because, like, if you were to go, say, like, to any city in Australia, for example, well, not everywhere, but I find that a lot of colonized countries that had a lot of immigrants, say, like South Africa, Australia, America, they're the kinds of countries where you'll have a huge variation of traditions, where a lot of them have kind of molded and mingled and become family traditions, not necessarily specific cultural traditions. You know, not to say that you won't get people who do things slightly different in, like, England and Germany and
France or whatever.
You know, white people, honestly. Hi, I love you. My listeners, my fans, hi.
Hey fam, what's up? What is this?
It's just because it's warm. So, you know, that's what I find. So, like, here in South Africa, because we have such an enriched yet powerfully painful history, that people are going to defend their cultures and want to be as unique and different because of how they were, like, dismissed and shoved aside for so long, which I think is great, and I think it's beautiful, and I think we should be doing more to encourage that.
I mean, that's what I love about this place, is from top to bottom, left to right, no one is the same.
Nope. So when you read websites like this that literally take a paragraph to explain to you how something as integral as Christmas is.
It's pretty funny.
It's it's what?
Pretty funny.
But we'll get more into Christmas stuff later.
At Christmas time.
At Christmas time. It's Christmas. Christmas time. Okay, I'll
Okay.
stop.
So, what I basically live on YouTube. It's taken over TV for me. I probably haven't watched local programming
Oh, in years.
in close to like 10 years.
Except when Sona's on. Then I'll watch local TV.
Ooh, Lord.
Girl.
You know. Anyway, I live on YouTube.
Yes.
And I like my creepy things. I
she
like my
does.
creepy channels. And one of my favorite channels is, I'm not sure if you're sort of into narration channels, where you get people who have a good voice and they read you stories.
A podcast, yeah? Yeah.
Well, kind of like podcasts.
Well, those are the kind of...
They
some
get
of
a
the
lot of
podcasts.
stories off of Reddit, or if people write fictional stories, they can send it into them and they'll sort of read it and everything. But
We'll include some links below for you guys to check those out.
I'll give you some of my favorites who've done narration, and
Dan's
then
favorites.
some who are solely narration channels.
Okay.
And one of my favorites is called Let's Read. He's just called Let's Read. And
You
he
can
has
read, you can read.
the
Yes,
most
indeed, you
calming
can
voice
read.
ever, but he does sort of like horror.
You need to be
narration.
calm when reading horror. Or
He
when
does
listening
horror
to horror.
narration. So the one that I listened to this morning was sort of like, I think it was like 8 sorority horror things that had happened. But the one that I was listening to yesterday, and which actually made me think about how close we sort of come to horrifying things happening to us, was yesterday I was listening to one about basically kids sort of near misses with strangers.
Ooh, yeah, no, I've read stories like that.
Having near misses with strangers, and these people write in and they tell them their stories, and how many people actually realize that if they hadn't done something, or if they just gone the wrong way, or if they hadn't turned around when they were called, that they would have been shoved in a van and never heard from again. And I was trying to think back of my childhood of how many times, if you came up against somebody who was just...
You nearly snatched?
No, I wasn't nearly snatched.
Oh.
I may have been nearly snatched, but I
mean,
turned
you're
around.
adorable, so that's
You
why I'm just
know.
like, is your family really your family? Are you that little pageant queen?
If we had pageants here, maybe.
We do.
We do?
We do.
Really?
Yeah.
What a horror story.
Anyways, you were saying.
But I was wondering, because I remember when I was littler, I don't know if you remember the case of the station strangler.
Yes.
And
Only-
it happened at Plumstead Station.
I didn't know that. I just
He was
remember
at-
everyone.
He was at different stations, but I
Yeah.
think it was happening along this line.
Great.
Here. So it was right there. And at that time...
That's why my parents wouldn't let me catch a train.
And at that time, I used to live in this area, Plumstead, and I'm sure you've lived here a long time.
I've lived here my entire life.
So
My whole life.
basically, what used to happen is this guy would ask children for help. I think it was mainly small boys. Would ask them for help with boxes. And then they would follow him to go and help him with the boxes, and he would end up attacking them and strangling them. And I think it happened to maybe 2 or 3 kids before they actually caught this guy.
Yeah.
And just those kind of stories were just making me think of, like, if you'd ever come across, like, you had somebody who just came a little bit too close to you, or if you ever had a time where a stranger kind of, like, took your arm, but because you knew stranger danger, you pulled away and you just ran. And it just kind of made me a little bit nervous to think about all the times, because at my primary school, I used to wander around pretty unsupervised. I would just, like, wander, because my mom used to work there after school and everything. I would just, like, wander around the grounds.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there was no security
Not
or
back then,
anything.
no.
Anybody could have walked on, and I could have just been picked up and carried away.
Yep. And we didn't have phones then, and, you know,
I had
Facebook
like,
to
run
share
to the
missing
tiki
people.
box to a reverse charge call.
Tiki box. Do you know, all the way throughout high school, even though I had a phone, my grandmother made me keep a tiki box
I had
card.
a card the whole way
the
through.
money card throughout, just in case. And then the one day, I think it was in like the last term of matric, I like forgot my phone and needed to contact home, and I was like, and then the thing was expired.
Oh, but apparently, back in the day when like the cards were like the new technology, like that was the fancy one. Like you didn't have to carry change with you for the ticky box because the card
You just like
were,
slipped it in, yeah.
the new thing. Apparently, there were like cheats on how to recharge them.
Oh, really?
And apparently, you could put it in the freezer. Apparently, you could put it in the deep freeze and it would recharge the card. I never tried it because I never needed to use it.
My
But
very limited of science just that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make, but it's like these urban legends. Type thing.
Yes.
But apparently, you could get like 50 cents back onto the card or something if you put it in the deep freeze.
One day we will discuss South African urban legends, and they are amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
They're crazy.
it's a
Like,
whole other
one
level.
that I listened to this morning on the sorority thing, which kind of like shook me a little bit,
Yeah.
was apparently this girl wrote in that her mother was in a sorority in the 70s.
Oh, a great time. A great time to be in a sorority, yes?
And they were at a bar and with her friends, whatever, and she turned around and she started talking to the guy next to her. He seemed like a pretty cool guy, seemed really normal, had a chat and whatever.
And then he was the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, just you wait. And so she's talking to him and everything, and then she's supposed to go to a party with her friends. And he was like, well, don't you want to ditch them and come to a party at my place? But she was like, no, I'm good, whatever. So she went to the party, she went home. She's in her dorm room, and she hears something outside her door, whatever. So she goes to investigate, and she sees a man, like quietly walking up the stairs as if not to be seen. So he sees her, and then I think her roommate or something had a dog, whatever, and he started barking. So this guy turned around, left. A few days later, saw the same guy on the news. It was Ted Bundy.
No!
It was Ted Bundy.
No!
Like, so if she had gone home with him,
She'd be dead.
or if he had gotten into her room,
Yeah.
she would have been dead. So I was like,
oh my god. Like, you're just scared for her, and it happened in the 70s. Like,
still like, you know, because I mean, he went on like a rampage on like university campuses. Like a lot of young girls went missing, a lot of teenagers and everything. And it was obviously because they met this cool guy, and he was like, "You want to come to a party at my place?" And then they were like, "Yeah, sure, he's cool." You know, he's suave and good looking and charming and everything. And then they're gone. So that freaked me out. I was like, you were eye contact with Ted Bundy.
but there's also a little part of you going, oh my god, you met Ted Bundy? Like, was that just me?
This weird tiny part being like, oh my god! And then you're like, oh my god!
Yeah, like, it's this, you're constantly like, it's just this tiny bit that the rest of you just like squashes immediately because you're like, don't be mad.
Like, it's literally like shock or shock. Being like, oh my god, it was Ted Bundy. Oh my god, it was Ted Bundy. Oh my god, it was Ted Bundy.
We're weird. It's great.
No.
So
that was my other sort of ha 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 ha.
Do you know my favorite horror film? Yeah. And I don't do horror. If you want to,
so I'm very interested to hear this.
If you want to know how much I don't do horror, you should go check out my podcast called The Soapbox Show. Tam and I do a horror special called What is Horror? And my favorite horror, and I don't even know how I got through it, is called Sorority Row.
Really?
It's so bad and it's so cheesy, and the only reason why it's my favorite is because a friend of mine, we sat one night, instead of writing an essay or an assignment or something, we sat on like Mixit, and we were just texting each other during this movie the entire time. So that's probably why, like, I think, oh, I can totally handle this film.
That's one of my favorite things to do during movies, though, is I'll like tweet out. Not that anybody's listening at the other end of my tweets.
I am.
But I'll just like tweet out like random lines of what I'm thinking about the movie. So it really does help when you're kind of like, oh really? You're running upstairs now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that when I watched Fight Club for the first time. I was posting Facebook statuses and people were just like commenting, and then like someone would be like, guys, don't burn it. Like, she hasn't gotten there yet. Because literally like every, I don't know, 10 minutes I'd be like, oh my god, this just happened. Why? Like, oh, okay. Like right at the end I was just like, I understand. Oh, I have one more. Remember last time we were talking about how there relaunching the 3310.
Oh, yes.
Have
yes.
you seen it?
I have seen it. I want one.
Why?
Because it's amazing.
It looks so stupid.
It's amazing.
No, they turned the 3310 into a smartphone. Can we just
appreciate
No.
the genius? I love it.
No.
I absolutely love it. And I mean, if you can, bonus points if you can throw it against the wall and it doesn't break. Bonus points.
Right.
I love it.
Doesn't even look like the original.
What are you talking about? Of course it does.
No,
It's
look at the
just
original.
bigger.
Look at that. You don't need the 3310 is not supposed to be a touchscreen.
Yes, it was. It was meant to join us in this new age.
And all they're talking about in this ad.
This
Why
is-
does it have a camera?
But
Oh.
because it's amazing and Snake is back.
But you can still get Snake on your phone.
But it's not the same.
So yeah.
How are you trying to play Snake with a touchscreen? What are you trying to do to me?
What are you trying to do? So yes, guys, that is our mini reaction video to the 3310, just to finish off this episode of What the Fluff.
I love it. She hates it.
What do you think?
What do you think?
That's what we want to know.
I would totally get one, but my phone works just fine. And I don't need another one.
You don't want to be one of those guys in the taxi who has 2 phones. No,
I'm not running that kind of deal. Yeah.
you're not living that life.
I'm not running that kind of game. I can barely keep track of this one. Never mind 2.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much. Tan, do you want to do all the social media bits?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. All the links will be down below. If you liked our rambling, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down, whatever you feel. But don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, look at these faces.
Okay, bye.
So we'll see you next time.
Right, let's get out of here. It's hot in here.
We talked so long, both of them died.